man's looking at me through the car window. Fuck off, mate. Drug use. Legal prescribed drug use. Bye. Hello and welcome to my second video. I'm sorry, I'm an absolute piece of shit. I actually am. I cannot believe it has been 4 months since I actually filmed this video, and here I am. I'm so ashamed of myself. I should have done this. I'm currently doing a little bit more today because since I filmed this in January, a lot of things have changed. My fitness journey has continued, and so there's a lot more to tell you. This is my fitness journey so far. So far because I have a long way to go, but I'm nowhere near where I started. And I'm gonna share with you the ups and downs, my experience of weight gain, weight loss, drug use, legal prescribed drug use though, how I got into the gym, how I got into weights, and I'm going to put as many photos in as I possibly can, just because I think it's nice to have kind of a visual reference to the talking points. So first of all, disclaimer, if you're someone that is triggered by topics such as eating disorders, talking about restrictive eating, excessive exercise, then this is not the video for you. I highly advise that you do not watch this. Whilst my journey with these problems has come to a nice and happy ending, it is still going to be talked about. I also want to point out that I am quite an impressionable person. I've always been one of those people that's looked to social media, looked to celebrities, and always felt like that was normal. I've always been very mean and negative to myself. Now things have changed, and my mindset is the best it's ever been in my life. But I just thought it's important to mention that, because a lot of these triggers, a lot of the parts of the story that I'm going to be telling you are going to be focusing on how my mindset was just not right from the start, how my goal of aesthetic only progress was never going to be healthy. It was never going to turn out well until I kind of saw past aesthetics, if that makes sense. So I'm just going to talk a bit about my background. I'm 5'7". I've pretty much been 5'7" since I was 14, 15. I was one of those people that grew quite quickly. My body type is an endomorphic body type. My body likes to store fat. It just enjoys it. So it's very good at it. The whole of my life, I've always been squishy. I've always been of a healthy weight. As a child, I ate everything. I was not fussy. I loved my food. Genetically, in terms of like my kind of body composition, my fat likes to be stored in my lower body. Sadly for me, not my bum, in my lower legs. My body loves to store fat there. Definitely through my teenage years, I did notice that as, you know, puberty was happening, I was gaining a lot of fat on my lower legs. My upper body is quite normal. I don't particularly gain anywhere specific on my upper body. When I gain fat, I generally gain it equally all over my upper body. Unfortunately, it doesn't go to my boobs either. That's just my genetics. That's just how I'm built. When I was 13, I was at an all-girls school, and that's when I first kind of started noticing that I was getting conscious of the way I looked. So my friends at school are all absolute beauty, and I noticed that I just didn't feel like I didn't look the same in the same kind of clothes they wore. I knew that I was a bit squidgy, and yeah, I just was a bit uncomfortable in my own skin, and I was very, very aware that I wasn't slim, and I did want to kind of be slimmer. So when I got to 15, hormones, you know, started to flush it, and I was gaining, you know, more fat, like puberty fat, like that's just naturally how my body is. And I was gaining more of my hips, I was gaining more of my tummy, and kind of the shape that was, you know, the little pencil shape you have as a kid was kind of filling out. And this is where I did notice that a lot of fat was building up on my legs. I've got a photo of me which I'll put up on the screen, and I remember just feeling absolutely awful wearing those shorts. I was always very, very active as a child. Until I was 16, I literally was in every sports team pretty much. When I was 16 and I ended up going to college and they had no sport, I was more focused on socialising than actually doing work, and teachers started getting concerned. I've always been, you know, a little bit naughty at school. I just was more focused on having fun and not really doing my work. I never got amazing grades. A few weeks into college starting, my teachers called my parents to say that they were concerned that I wasn't working hard enough, and they recommended that my parents took me to see a psychiatrist because they suspected I was showing signs of ADHD. I went to the psychiatrist, and she, you know, evaluated me and suggested to my parents that a potential route that we could go down was ADHD medication. So I ended up taking this ADHD medication. I mean, people know it as Ritalin, but I took one that was called Equizim. I still can't pronounce it to this very day. If you've ever heard of Ritalin ADHD medication, there is a very long list of side effects, and they're like an amphetamine. So if you imagine yourself drinking too much coffee to the point that you get really jittery, really agitated, and you're like, times that by 10, that's what it felt like being on these tablets, except you would hyper focus on one thing. I'd literally be in the library at school going like cracked up, and I experienced quite a lot of the side effects. That's just one of them. Scatty behaviour, being irritable. I was easily, you know, triggered to be like, ugh. It makes you quite on edge and quite paranoid, and I got really, really stressed out by all of those factors. Then the biggest side effect is the severe loss of appetite. I could not physically eat during the day on these tablets. I felt physically sick thinking of food. It suppresses your appetite. I wouldn't be able to eat until late in the evening at about 11, and then I would just have like a snack or like a dinner, but it would always be something really, really quick, like a bagel with ham and cheese, then I'd have a handful of chocolate buttons or something, nothing nutritious, nothing that would, you know, keep me going healthily. So after a while, I started, you know, significantly losing weight, and I was taking this medication for the first year, and it was working. I was doing my work, I was more focused when I was doing my work, the quality of my work was better. So technically, it was doing what it said on the tin. The weight loss, as I've always been, you know, self-conscious and wanted to lose weight, because I'd never actually tried to tackle it, for this side effect of loss of appetite to make me lose weight, I kind of didn't question taking it. The anxiousness, the irritability, the scattiness, I just let it slide under the carpet. Summer comes along and I go off the tablets, and a few days kind of into it, my appetite started to, you know, pick up again, and it started to go back to normal. Over that summer, I was so hungry. I remember going on holiday with my boyfriend at the time, and I literally just wanted to eat everything in sight the whole time. The whole summer, I was eating so much, and I gained all the weight that I had before back, and I gained even more. Whilst I was obviously taking these tablets and I was kind of not eating because of the loss of appetite, I was losing weight, but I was also losing muscle, and I was damaging my metabolism because I just wasn't feeding my body properly. So it kind of started a vicious cycle. And when it came to my second year at college, I started taking the tablets again. I ended up, my boyfriend and I at the time, we ended up taking a break for a bit, break up, bit of a mess. So I had the emotional stress on top of the stress from the medication. So the emotional stress kind of dampened my appetite even more, because when I get like upset, I just can't eat. I feel physically sick. And I then lost weight faster. So I lost weight again. My weight goes downhill. Come Christmas time, my boyfriend and I get back together. I'm still taking the medication just to keep me going. Obviously there's revising because we have mocks. At the beginning of 2016, literally like day one, New Year's Day, I got admitted to hospital and I had an emergency surgery, and I had my appendix removed, and I was very unwell for a bit. I went off the medication for a few weeks. So when the summer came, I stopped taking that Equizim altogether, and that was the end of it. I was now kind of free from school. The appetite came rushing back, and I was really, really hungry. I'm convinced that my metabolism was damaged so badly by these tablets, just the lifestyle that these tablets gave me, that I gained a lot of weight. Just eating kind of relatively normally for someone who was just on a summer holiday. During that summer, I pretty much gained all the weight I'd gained from the previous summer, and even more. So I'd like kind of come full circle plus more from when I even started taking the medication. I went on holiday with some of the girls, and I'd really noticed, I put a bikini on and I could just see, and I just felt really uncomfortable. The two girls I was on holiday with, they are such gorgeous girls and incredible figures, and I just felt like the ugly duckling. Like the whole time I just felt really uncomfortable. They were wearing their really nice cool outfits, and I was just wearing baggy things, trying to, you know, cover up. I was just really self-conscious at that time. I was busy for the rest of the summer, so I didn't let it get to me too much. I had my A-level results, and that obviously determined where I was going to end up for the following year. I unfortunately didn't get my first choice. I applied to do a foundation course, which is what you can do before you do an actual degree course. And my first choice was London, so I would live at home. However, I didn't get my first choice. I got my second choice, which is in Bournemouth, so it meant that I had to find a student accommodation. And because I was late, I hadn't gone through all the like pre-booking of the halls, and there was no space, so I ended up having to get a house with some random other students. It was really like out of the way. It was kind of like in the middle of nowhere. It wasn't near uni, it wasn't near the town. So I moved to Bournemouth into this house. It was a really awful house. There was like black mold everywhere, like cheap as chips. It was just absolutely horrendous. The kitchen was vulgar, there was mold. When I started, because I was in this house, like out of the way of everyone else, all the freshers were kind of all together. So when the accommodation were having parties, obviously I wasn't part of the accommodation, so I just felt a bit left out. Started to feel a bit isolated. My confidence had kind of started to get shattered from the weight gain. I'm missing out on all this freshers, kind of feeling a bit left out. Obviously I met some amazing people on my course. We had so much fun together, but there's still that kind of those friendships and those connections that you usually build in student accommodation that I longed for, because I'd seen all my friends that were the year above before at the uni just having the most amazing time in their halls, and my reality wasn't matching with what I'd seen, and so I just got really down. I kind of isolated myself a bit. I was in the house, I was not going out much, I was spending more time in front of Netflix, eating the kitchen in this house, because this house was grim, the kitchen was awful, like you didn't want to cook in it. I ended up going to Tesco's and getting like 2 meal deals and having that as a lunch. So my calories, and that was like a reasonably nutritious lunch for me at the time. Otherwise I was getting KFC, they had it on Just Eat, they had like a waffle place called Creams at the end of the road, and sometimes I would walk up there and go and get waffle, like just mid-afternoon. So I was eating the most ridiculous amounts of food, so obviously I was gaining weight, and I was kind of getting a bit depressed in the house and then eating more, looking in the mirror, getting upset, and the whole cycle kind of continued. So come January 2017, my boyfriend at the time, he was between jobs and he wasn't really sure what he was going to be doing. So he ended up looking and finding a job in Bournemouth near me where I was living, and he ended up moving into my house with me, which was really nice because I had some questionable housemates. Some of the students that I originally moved in with decided to drop out, and they were kind of desperate to find someone to fill the place of the house, and they didn't actually find students, they found like locals, and some of them were a bit dodgy, so I didn't really feel safe in the house, which kind of then fed into the depression, that fed into the isolation, that fed into the eating, and then the weight gain and all of that. It all built up on each other. So when my boyfriend moved in with me, I felt a lot better, but obviously this cycle did continue. He was at work all day, so I would spend all day either doing my uni stuff or watching Netflix and eating in bed. The activity levels I had was really, really minimal. It did get to a point when it built up, it was too much, and I just sat down with my boyfriend and I kind of just opened up to my boyfriend, and I was just like, I just feel really awful. He was really nice. He was like, I don't think you've gained weight. I don't think you've gained weight. Maybe you're not eating as healthily as you were. He was very nice like that. Obviously he noticed, but he's never admitted that he did. My ex-boyfriend has always been into fitness. He played rugby at school. He's always been very active. But he's always been in great shape. He hadn't kind of been to the gym in a while because everything had been busy with all the changes. So he was like, well, you know, why don't we get gym membership? I kind of want to go back to the gym and I can like show you some things. And I thought, oh yeah. So I'd seen all these Victoria's Secret model workouts and everything on Instagram. The Kayla It Signs, It Scenes. I'm not really sure how you pronounce the name, but those workouts had all been going like viral on Instagram and everything. And I'd seen it, so I thought, you know, why don't I, you know, go to the gym? And I thought that's not a bad idea. So we started going to the gym, and we'd go to the gym at 10 in the evening because that's the time the gym was least busy, because I was so self-conscious of going to the gym. Also, I mean, I haven't really spoken about it much here because I'm going to do another video on it later on, but my psoriasis was actually quite bad at this point, probably because of all the rubbish I was eating, made my psoriasis flare up. So I was very self-conscious of that, and that's why I wanted to go late, as well as self-conscious about my body shape. So we started going to the gym. Bless him, he tried so hard. I remember one of the first sessions like trying to show me how to do a lunge, and I couldn't do it, like I couldn't balance. So bless him, he tried so hard, and I got so upset and so frustrated with him. I was just like, go away, I can't do this is too hard, like go do your own thing. And then I'd end up going on the treadmill for the rest of the session. If some gym girl walked in, or some girl that, you know, was like knew what she was doing walked in the gym, I would like look over it and get like really like overwhelmed, like intimidated. And these girls would be doing nothing wrong. They'd literally just been walking and doing their thing in the gym. They weren't giving me looks or anything. This is me in my own head making everything so bad. Like I'd text my boyfriend in the gym being like, I'm leaving, I'm waiting in the car, like, and I'd go outside and I'd cry in the car. I mean, I'm smiling about it because like it was just so silly. No one cared. No one cared about what I looked like. No one cared about what I was doing in the gym. I was just so self-conscious. Everyone starts somewhere if you think about it. When someone starts going to the gym and they see someone that has been going to the gym for a while, the person they see that's been going to the gym for a while also started somewhere. They had that day where they walked in and they didn't know what to do. It all comes from somewhere. So that's why I smile now, but at the time it was really, really awful. I ended up actually coming up with an idea. So I discovered Pure Gym was 24 hours. So on Saturday nights, me and my boyfriend would stay up, go to the gym at 3 when there was nobody there, and he would like sometimes set up like little circuits for me in the kind of classroom of Pure Gym, and I'd do those. I'd absolutely die, like, and they were kind of good sessions. I kind of let things go from my mind, and I kind of was like, I'm just gonna get on with it. It's just me and my boyfriend. No one else is here. I can get red, I can get sweaty, I can fall over if I can't balance doing something, and no one will care. So that went quite well. And then that's the kind of time I started discovering Whitney Simmons. I love watching her videos, like she's doing her squats and she looks so strong. I would then start like trying to do what Whitney was doing. Obviously barbell squats, I was nowhere near gonna be able to do like a loaded barbell squat, but I tried out doing like unloaded barbell squats. I tried different exercises. I was curious as to what I could do. So yeah, I wasn't making any progress at all in the gym. Obviously, like, I was getting familiar with the surroundings and I like felt slightly better about it. I didn't feel great. I still, you know, had the overwhelming crying sessions in the car by myself, but it was, you know, it was a start in my eyes. I went back home, opened up to my mum about it, and my psoriasis was really bad as well, and she also has psoriasis. She was going through a bit of a flare, and she said, well, why don't we go on like a detox holiday together? And it was kind of a place where they specialise in autoimmune diseases, weight management, that kind of thing. And we had a lovely time. I was literally just drinking tea, relaxing, eating healthily, really small portions, like tiny, like what you would have, like if you imagine like a fancy restaurant, they give you those tiny starters. That would be my meal. Like it was, I was so shocked. I'd gone from eating so much to being like, what is this in front of me? This is like no food. I'm gonna actually turn into a skeleton. I was like really suffering that, you know, fast food withdrawal. Came back home after that week. It made me lose pretty much like a lot of water weight. Probably didn't lose actually anyway. A few weeks later after this trip, my boyfriend and I were actually going travelling around Southeast Asia. This is where the photo was taken that I've used as my transformation photo on my Instagram page. So yeah, we had a lovely time. I wasn't eating all the crap that I was eating before when I was back at home. I felt pretty meh the whole trip. I just felt a bit crappy, but I was with my boyfriend and I was fine. I was comfortable with him until one week, the end of the second week, gone on like a jungle jeep tour, and we just got back and the lady opened the door and like we were saying goodbye, like thank you for the day, and she said, oh, congratulations on the baby, to me. Honestly, I remember I could just feel all the blood rush into my face. I was like, do not fucking cry, because we'd been with all these other like travellers for the whole day and I was still around everyone, like waiting to say goodbye to all these people we met, and I just remember just literally I could feel the waterworks about to turn on. It was the most awful feeling. I could see my boyfriend's face like completely turn. Oh my god, I was absolutely distraught. That evening I was just really like upset. Then the self-consciousness kind of came through even more for the rest of the holiday. I'd stopped wearing all my dresses and stuff that I bought. I started wearing his like baggy t-shirts and like trousers. I was just so uncomfortable. I was so unhappy with myself and I needed to do something about it. Came back home and I kind of continued as I was before. I was a bit more, you know, wary, and I was trying to like make sure I ate some like healthy things during the day, but I wasn't, you know, doing anything particularly, you know, helpful to help me maybe lose weight or maybe, you know, do some exercise. Then fast forward to my first year of uni on the course that I'm actually still doing. So September of 2017, I moved into halls in East London. 2 weeks into my first term of uni, my boyfriend and I broke up. It was probably the worst few weeks of my life. I just felt like I was in the pit of hell. I didn't know what to do myself, and the emotional stress that I got from that led to me once again losing my appetite completely. I kind of didn't realise it at the time. I was so focused on the whole like breakup situation. I was just so upset I just couldn't eat. I was going out with friends a bit and they tried to take my mind off it, but obviously I'd get emotional and go home and I just wouldn't eat, be drinking, just not really putting myself in a good state mentally, not helping myself either. And eventually I started to notice, I'd look in the mirror and be like, oh my god, you've lost weight. And I kind of think, this is one of the biggest problems that I've had for the last like year and a bit of my life, and I'm losing weight. And that kind of, you know, gave me like a bit of like happiness in such a dark time. It was really, really unhealthy, the fact that I was happy over not eating because I was emotionally stressed. But this was the only source of happiness or anything that I was currently getting at the time, so I continued it. I thought, well, this is working. I'm literally hardly eating anything. Let's continue. And I'm not saying that I completely starved myself to the point I was eating absolutely nothing, but I was eating probably about under 600 calories. In the beginning of 2018, I was still doing my restricting. I moved back to halls. My halls has a mini gym and they have like a treadmill, an elliptical. They have a few dumbbells, really not many, probably went up to 10 kg. There was not much of a range, but I used to go there and do like little ab workouts and put Netflix on the treadmill and just have like a long power walk for a bit. But then I was just kind of feeding into restrictive eating by then excessively exercising. I'm saying about 2 hours on the treadmill, walking on an incline, long periods of time doing exercise. It got a bit crazy. I also decided to take up ice skating because I thought I want to be more active. That will just help me lose weight faster apart from the eating. I used to do ice skating when I was younger and I used to love it. My mum actually made me stop because I had an accident and I broke my arm. I loved it and it was so much fun. It's one of those sports that's quite rewarding because every time you go you get a little better, whether it comes to like balancing at something, and it's quite a rewarding thing to do. So that's what I was doing for my second term at uni. Then the third term kind of comes along, and this is where like things start taking a toll and I start just getting so tired. I start becoming really sluggish and weak and I'm just in bed like watching TV all day. I just don't really feel like doing anything. Bear in mind, I'm not fueling my body. I wasn't like anything like severe to the point like of hospitalization or anything like that, but it was definitely enough for me to notice a significant decrease in energy levels completely. So at the end of my first year of uni, I moved back home, and when I was back home obviously I was eating a bit more. My parents were cooking, so I kind of was having it put in front of me and I was just like, why not? Like, I've lost quite a lot of weight. I was quite happy with how I looked and everything, so I wasn't that fussed. So I was eating a bit more, energy started to come back, and obviously I'd had quite like a dramatic year with like the breakup and everything, and that just being so staggered and just continuous throughout the whole of the year really. I kind of just needed to get away. I was just going through some weird like fuzzy period in time. I was foggy from like the lack of food that I'd had. Like, my mind was just not quite there. I ended up going travelling around Thailand and Indonesia over the summer. I had the most amazing time. I met all these people that didn't know me, and I could kind of just have like, just disconnect. It just allowed me to step back from my life and just kind of put all my shit, leave all my shit at home and just have like a really, really nice time to myself, having fun with people I don't know. We'd go and we'd eat loads of Thai food. I love Thai food. It's literally one of my favourite cuisines. Pad Thai is literally one of my favourite things. So I was eating normally and I was eating healthy. They had these like mango smoothies, which is basically like mangoes ended up like nothing else, and I would literally have those all the time. I was eating normally, I was having fun, I was drinking. Obviously I gained weight, but I was just having so much fun. I was just letting loose completely. I was in the most amazing country. I went to Thailand and then I did Bali. Bali is where I actually discovered this cafe in Ubud called Watercress, and they do all those, you know, Instagram kind of foods. They do like acai bowls and avocado toast, and I absolutely loved it. I got home and I just felt so refreshed, and I kind of felt like me. I didn't find myself. I kind of realised that, you know, I need to just actually care about myself and put myself first. I started kind of showing interest, having, you know, seen all those like healthy food places in Bali, and like you see all the stuff on Instagram, and I was like, I've been there. And I just got so excited about that, and I kind of started following more of these, you know, travel girls, these Instagram model-y people, and that's where I kind of started coming across like YouTubers, and that kind of fed into me spending more time on YouTube. And I then eventually came across Megan Grubb, So I discovered Whitney Simmons in Bournemouth, but Megan Grubb came into my life at this point. Megan Grubb inspired me to start training weights. Well, I kind of gained some weight back when I was travelling, because obviously I was drinking like an absolute camel. We were literally pretty much drinking every night, and I was eating everything, so I did gain a bit of weight, and I was kind of like inspired to try and maybe, you know, continue this journey, but maybe looking at doing it in a more healthy way, because I was enjoying this life of just like eating healthier food. But yeah, when I discovered Megan Grubb, I remember I literally binge watched her, like so many of her videos in one day, and ended up buying her peach plan. And I thought, you know, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna start this. I started the peach plan, and I was doing it for quite a while. I was doing it for about 5 weeks. And then I kind of started doing my own thing. So I kind of got like ideas of exercises I liked from doing the peach plan, and then I kind of started doing whatever I felt like and kind of planned it out like that. I did, however, start noticing after a while that I wasn't really making any progress. Obviously at that time, like, the only comparison of progress I had in my head was my dramatic weight loss from when I was not eating anything, and obviously I was taking drastic measures and seeing drastic results. Obviously really unhealthily, and my metabolism was absolutely boshed. I was eating quite a big deficit. I made little to no progress, even during the newbie gains time when you're supposed to, you know, really gain it. I really wasn't eating enough to even fuel the newbie gains. I continued this until after Christmas, into the beginning of 2019. A few weeks into 2019, I kind of got a bit like upset. I got a bit frustrated. I was like, I'm not making any progress. Bear in mind, I was still eating in this ridiculous deficit. So that's why there was no progress happening. But I didn't figure that out. I didn't know that at the time, and I was just, you know, I was punching myself. I was trying so hard. I was like, why is this happening? Like, I want to be brown. I want to be muscly. It looks cool. So I kind of like started telling myself, oh, maybe you're just not built to make muscle. Maybe it's just not, that's just not on the cards for you. Maybe you have to figure something out. And I kind of lost motivation a bit and kind of stopped. This time is when I kind of came across the Victoria's Secret models. Obviously I'd known about the Victoria's Secrets before. I tried their ab workouts back in the day in Bournemouth, but I started, you know, really reading into them, reading articles about what they ate, like how they trained, where they trained, what exercises they did, and I came across Romy on YouTube, and I started like watching her what I eat in a day, and she was eating the kind of things that I was seeing in these cool Instagram cafes in Bali, and I was just like, yes, I love this, like I want to do this more. So I was dropping the gym, but I was copying what Romy was doing, because I was like, that's a Victoria's Secret model. If I eat a Victoria's Secret model, I'll become one. Yeah, I'm waiting for that to happen right now. I'm joking. I was eating what she was eating, and she was eating more calories than I was eating before. So I was actually giving myself some more food, and I was focusing on all these superfoods, because Victoria's Secret, they love their superfood, their chia seeds, their oats, and I really got sucked into it. I loved it. I followed all the what I eat in a day. I started doing like little gym workouts, very much like body weight, like high rep exercises, and then I came across spin classes, and I knew that later the models did things like Soul Cycle, and I thought, oh, that sounds so cool. And I knew that I had a spinning place nearby where I live, and I thought, why not? Why not try it out? Went to my first session, and I remember coming out and looking in the mirror in the changing rooms, and I was red. I was absolutely dripping. You could see sweat all in my armpit, down my boobs, down my back, sweat marks everywhere, and I was literally going, I was out of breath. But the endorphin rush I had, I felt amazing. I felt so good. I don't think I had ever worked out that hard in my life, and it was such a good session, and I became addicted. I became obsessed. I absolutely loved it. It was my favourite thing to do. I ended up, basically until summer of 2019, I was doing spinning 5-6 days a week, and I was eating like a Victoria's Secret model. I noticed that when I was eating near to nothing and I was losing weight, that I was kind of quite loose. My skin was really, I don't know how to explain it. My skin was like really loose and kind of saggy. It wasn't really saggy, but it felt saggy in comparison to what my, you know, fantasy of losing weight would look like. I always imagined when you lose weight, you look, you know, your skin looked tighter. The kind of look of looking lean with tight skin, that's kind of what I imagined. And by doing these spinning classes and eating what the Victoria's Secret models were, I was kind of starting, my skin was starting to tighten a little bit. I wasn't gaining any shape, but I was looking slightly tighter. I was losing more weight. I was looking much kind of leaner, slimmer. My abs were, before my tummy was a bit jiggly, even when I was like, it was flat, like it still had like jiggle on it. But now it was much tighter, it was much more firm. I mean, we were doing all these exercises and spinning. We had these dumbbells in the back, and you pull them out and she's like, press, punch it. And you had to like hold the dumbbells out. Oh my God, it killed, and you had to do that. And these were 2 kg dumbbells, and I noticed that as time went on I actually got stronger, and I could, you know, I could last in these positions a lot longer. And that's kind of when the whole concept of muscles and strength really kind of had like a physical impact on me that gave me an understanding of actually what muscle might do. Then summer of 2019, I went on holiday with the girls, some of my absolutely gorgeous friends, and we had the most incredible time. And I kind of let myself go on that holiday, and I didn't feel too guilty about it. I'd wake up and I put a bikini on, and I didn't hate myself for once in my life. When I came back from the holiday, I had quite a busy summer. I was doing an internship, and then I was seeing family. We go to North Wales for a period of time, and that's where all my cousins go. I have a ridiculously big family. I absolutely love it, but it's busy, full on. So I kind of let the Victoria's Secret model diet kind of go a bit. I was eating so many family meals. I wasn't going to spinning, was kind of letting go a bit. I did go to the gym a few times and did some exercises. I wasn't being, you know, as obsessive as I was before. And then fast forward, at the end of summer, I was then in hospital. I was in and out of hospital for various reasons. One of the reasons, I was having my tonsils removed. So I had that at the beginning of September, and I was recovering for a few weeks after. I had a scalpel tonsillectomy, which usually takes a bit longer to heal, but my surgery went really well. When I was in recovery, obviously it's painful to eat, but I was trying as hard as I could so that I could actually recover quickly, because it was quite painful. What they didn't tell me before is that basically when you had your tonsils removed, it then forms a scab, but the scab has to come off at some point, and you have to like eat the scab. And so they encourage you to eat like toast to like scratch. Oh my God, it's the most, it's grim, it's absolutely grim. So I was eating whatever I could, and I was also in bed. So I kind of dedicated this time before uni started again, and I was watching loads of YouTube videos, and I was watching Megan Grab, rediscover Whitney Simmons, introduce myself to like Gains by Brains, Chrissy Chella. I got so inspired. I was like, when I recover, I'm going to actually go to the gym. I'm done with all this yo-yo dieting. I'm done with all of this rubbish weight loss that just doesn't last. I just want to do something proper. I want to get strong. I want to lift weights. So I made the decision that when I recovered and I could go back to the gym, I would start bulk. Me, being impulsive and impatient, decided that I would instantly go into the bulk, because I didn't gradually increase my calories, so I wouldn't, you know, would minimise my fat gain. I just went straight in. I really actually got into the gym. I kind of was understanding some exercises. I really became obsessed with hip thrusts, and I was getting stronger and stronger every week, and I was really actually noticing some progress. I was noticing I was actually gaining some muscle. This continued up till Christmas, and I did gain quite a bit of fat as well as gaining muscle. And when Christmas came and all the events and parties were coming around, and I was, you know, digging out my outfits, I hadn't really done much shopping, and most of the clothes didn't fit me anymore because of this, you know, dramatic bulk that I was doing. Naturally, putting on these really tight jeans and looking in the mirror, it just took me back to those times where I just felt so awful about myself, and I kind of just got overwhelmed, panicked, and was like, when Christmas is over, cut. I'm cutting. I cannot do this anymore. I still wanted to do fitness. I was never going to throw that out the window, but the whole concept of bulking was just too much on me mentally. I knew that clearly something wasn't going right, because I wasn't living the sustainable lifestyle that I was, you know, hoping to. Starting at 2020. So in January, out of panic, I decided to dramatically decrease my calories. Until the last week of February, I was still consistently training, but because of my dramatic decrease in calories, my strength was starting to suffer, and I noticed that I was losing weight. So the first week of March, I was so frustrated. I noticed that my strength was suffering, and I know that I was losing weight. I just felt like I was completely regressing, and I was. My progress was regressing. Whilst I wanted to lose weight, I knew that this weight loss was probably not the kind of weight loss I was hoping for. I was thinking in my head, like, I want to lose fat, but I know that muscle was being lost as well. The workouts that I was actually doing at this time consisted purely of like Instagram workouts that I had saved. So I was basically doing different workouts every time I went to the gym. I was never doing a consistent plan. I was training my glutes 3 times a week. The amount of volume I was training my glutes, looking back now, was way too much. I was severely overtraining, but I did not realise this at the time. I just didn't know why I wasn't making progress. I know that now you need to have a plan that you repeat week after week, where you focus on getting stronger and pushing yourself to progressively overload your muscles. I was getting really upset and really frustrated. The first week of March, I kind of thought, you know what, Lily, we're gonna have a week off. I was going with my friends to Scotland for the weekend, so I just thought, you know, have a relaxing week. I read about deload weeks and I thought, this will be my deload week. I'll refresh myself. Maybe I'll be able to make progress again, having given my muscles a break. So when we were actually driving back from Scotland that weekend, that was when England and Scotland were getting their first cases of coronavirus, and Italy, I think, had just gone into like a full lockdown. And I remember thinking, holy shit, the gyms are going to close. What am I going to do? So I panic bought some equipment before we'd actually gone into our UK lockdown, and thank God I did. I bought a barbell set that equated to like 90 kg, including some cast iron plates. So my barbell set wasn't going to arrive for a few weeks. I didn't know what to do with myself at home. I had some bands, but I wasn't really getting what I wanted out of these little home workouts that I was trying to do. One of my best friends actually started doing Shreddy at the beginning of lockdown, and I thought, you know what, I'm just going to do it with her. And I just thought, why not? Why not give Shreddy a go? Did Shreddy up until my weights arrived, and to be honest, it did the job. It gave me an endorphin rush. It kind of kept me going, but I was losing weight. Shreddy is extremely cardio based. For me at that time, it did absolutely fuck all. I was still in the deficit that I put myself in January, so naturally I was going to lose weight. So in May, my equipment had finally arrived. Honestly, it was the happiest day of my life, and I had this barbell and I could do my hip thrusts again. I was so pleased. Whilst it wasn't as heavy as I was going before, still something. I was so relieved to just be able to lift something heavier than a book. But I came to realise that apart from hip thrusts, I didn't really do any other barbell exercises. In the gym, I would use the leg press, the abduction machine, cables, Smith machine. Hip thrusts were really the only barbell free weight kind of exercise that I did. So I became a bit stuck. I was like, oh, Lily, you didn't really think this through, did you? When it came to actually having the barbell at home and that being my only piece of equipment, I needed to learn how to do these exercises. So I ended up doing some research, and this is where I came across Brett Contreras and Jeff Nippard. I came across Jeff Nippard's YouTube channel and Brett Contreras's Instagram page, and I learned so much about different movements. I learned so much about training glutes, and I started to kind of experiment with all these exercises that I'd seen from Brett. Some of the scientific theories, talking about muscle gain, how often you train, how much you train, I was applying those all to my kind of home workout. So I was making myself little plans, trying new exercises and focusing on form. And this is actually when I decided to reset my hip thrusts completely. So I was doing it at the gym, and I had quite a standard bench that I was resting my shoulder blades on. But the bench that I'd ordered this hip thruster, and this bench was significantly lower than what I was used to in the gym. I found it really, really weird. My form, I definitely noticed that I was just not feeling it in the right way. So I decided, fuck it, we're going to restart our hip thrusts. From the beginning, we're going to drop all the weight, because I was doing my heavy hip thrust. I was using all my 90 kg. I got up to about 120 kg before the gyms were closing. I did build quite a bit of strength. I think I'm naturally quite strong. For me to drop my hip thrust completely, I was doing about 30. I think that's where I started off at again, and I was focusing on my form. I started scooping my tailbone up to kind of initiate the movement. I would lock out at full hip extension, and I'd keep my head tucked into my chin. And I noticed that by, spending time learning about this form, it really helped me. It felt better. It felt more natural to do it this way. I then started doing this with exercises that I've never done before. Walking lunges, reverse lunges, split squats. I hate Bulgarian split squats, but we were doing those. I did have quite a bit of weight to play with, especially for, someone that was beginning to start with barbell variations. I spent that time, I really dedicated time to learning the form, practicing it, kind of adjusting it to see what worked best for me. This is when I kind of realised that there was a huge shift in my mindset. I'd started shifting from aesthetics being the one and only purpose for me doing fitness to now caring about performance and strength. So performance and strength became new goals for me, working on my form, working on my strength, progressively overloading. And this is where I realised that fitness was for me. I just absolutely love this. I want to do this for the rest of my fucking life. I felt so good. I was noticing progress, just doing these little bits and bobs at home. And I mean, at this time I was more experimental. I didn't have a great plan. I wasn't doing anything consistently, in the sense I wasn't doing a plan that I would repeat week after week and focus on progressively overloading the muscle. I was just more learning new things. I was excited, I was motivated, but I became so much more interested and started looking more into the science behind everything. I started reading Brett Contreras articles, Brad Schoenfeld, I don't know if I've got his name right, articles. I started watching more Jeff Nippard, and I just became fascinated in the way the body works, how the body grows muscle, what exercises are good for what, how much you train, how often you train. I had all these questions in my head I was wanting the answers to, and I was researching constantly. I was fascinated, and I still am. I'm still obsessed. I cannot wait to graduate in... Well, I finish uni at the end of May. When I've graduated, I'm going to do my personal training qualification, and I cannot explain to you how excited I am to do that, just to learn more about fitness. I started realising that all the things that I was doing before, the Instagram workouts I was doing at the gym before lockdown, I was really overtraining. I was doing so much volume, like ridiculous amounts. Like, we're talking about 60 to 70 sets per week for the glutes, when the recommended amount is about 30 to 40. And some people can work great off about 10 to 20 sets a week for the glutes. So no wonder I was making no progress, no wonder I was regressing, if anything. June comes along. I had started to make a good routine for myself. I had started making a plan where I would repeat that plan every week and push for progressive overload with the weights that I did have at home. This is the first plan that I kind of wrote for myself. And June is when I actually made the decision, because bear in mind, up until June, I was still in this deficit. I was terrified of gaining weight again. The overwhelming feelings I had from the Christmas before, I just did not want to put myself through that again. But as I started reading more, learning more, I kind of started realising that, you know, Lily, you probably need to be eating better. I was eating about 1,500, 600 calories a day. So I made the decision in June that I would start reversing my calories up to my maintenance level. I didn't really know what my maintenance level is, but I thought I would, you know, slowly, gradually increase my calories by 50 every week or 2 weeks, until I found that I was at a settled place where I wouldn't gain or lose any weight. I was curious to see what would happen if I started to eat more. This actually took me about 3 months to get up to maintenance level. I was doing it really slowly. In September, I had roughly hit my maintenance level. I remember noticing that I kind of started to feel so much stronger and healthier. I had energy, I felt good. Not only physically though, I didn't just feel better physically, also mentally. So my birthday hits late September, and my mum gets me the best present I've ever received. I got the Brett Contreras Glute Lab book, and I was obsessed with Brett Contreras. I'd literally been going through his Instagram about 5 times a day, like reading all his infographics, like, oh my god, I'm fucking learning everything. Literally, this book has been a game changer. If you want to grow your glutes, I could not recommend this book more. I literally, from reading this book, I learned so much about how the glutes work, and I decided to reprogram my training, which if you follow me on Instagram, you'll know that I'll posted kind of the glute proportions of these workouts on my Instagram. I'll put it up here. And this is when kind of lockdown had eased, so I was going to the gym 50% of the time, and I was doing workouts from home 50% of the time, purely because I live at home and I was just quite hesitant because of, you know, coronavirus. I don't want to be too selfish and go out every day to the gym and, you know, every day have that risk of giving my parents coronavirus. So if I can minimize the amount of time I spent out the house, the better. In October, I discovered the wonderful Amy Rooks, who is now my coach. I highly recommend you go check her out. She posts amazing, knowledgeable videos on YouTube. She breaks down science, especially about the glutes, into understandable and digestible chunks that are just so informative and helpful. She really, really motivated me, and I signed up to her wait list for her coaching at the end of October. I started my coaching with her on the 14th of December. I've actually just finished my first monthly cycle with her, and I'm going into the second. I think I'm going to be training with her for 12 weeks. I'm absolutely loving it. I just upped my calories by 100 this week, which is really exciting because it means I get more pasta. So I'm gradually working my calories up into lean bulk. I will insert my most recent coaching check-in photos here so you can see. And yeah, this is where we are up to now. I'm so excited to continue my coaching. I'm so excited to see what 2021 will bring. And yeah, my coaching, I will keep you updated. I'm doing a what I eat day in the life vlog tomorrow. So if you want to see that, you can subscribe to my channel, or you don't have to. That will be up next Sunday. So yeah, that's it for my fitness journey video. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a lovely week, and I hope you're very well. Take care, stay safe, make good decisions.